Welcome to my lovely IHP community and the 5D collective. To those who love to love and love to live and love to laugh and love to read and love to expand and love to be around diversity. So, diversity means that we don't hide our true feelings from ourselves. So we learn how to allow our implicit, explicit biases, our yuckies and not yuckies, to not be charged, and to allow ourselves to be non-reactive, and that's flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brains. So mindfulness, living and loving, as well as spirituality, living and loving is what we do here. It's people who want to be their self with flaws, imperfections, and integrity. And that's why we don't bend down backwards and over for anyone. Here is where you feel love. When somebody pokes, they're not poking. People who have shame, blame, fault, revenge, they do a whole different bunch of things, and really they're in 3D, 4D states of consciousness. So they lack the flow state. They promote being modulated embodiment and not restorative. So in fact, they promote being reactive versus non-reactive. They promote the survival state mode, which is necessary for us in the jungle, but not really in each other's lives. And they are unhealthy self-worth, others, and mystics. So while we choose the whole self, the 5D collective, and we implement mindfulness practices daily in our day-to-day with life, unexpecteds, unwanteds, undesirables, unknowns, a bunch of things with people and life, we activate ventral vagal state. As long as there's no physical threat, we don't need to be in our fight flight. So like for me, I've worked through those lovely, not so lovely panic attacks. They came about and I got to keep on working to expand my window of tolerance. I consider it a window welcome, but I learned that there's tolerance and welcoming eventually, and I didn't have any out-of-body experiences. So to me, my body was still a window welcome. Also, my energy body expanded because my light body was expanding again and again and again as our lovely planet moved into this 5D frequency. As a mystic, I'm a channeler, which is what right now I'm going to be channeling to you in a minute. There's some lovely channeled guidance messages coming through for those of you who are, again, self-empowered and you love to pursue that restorative embodiment day to day. So you do know that there's no need for you to shame yourself, to feel guilt, to feel any of that which is a fault, revenge, low self-esteem, that you can consistently regulate your nervous system thanks to your open-heartedness. And you, in fact, don't shame others either. So let's say you got Eric and Ariel from The Little Mermaid, and they're pretending to like each other, because I gave this story a couple days ago. So I'm Ariel, and Eric pretends that he likes my tail or that he's okay with my tail. And in time, though, because Eric's pretending, since he has inner child parts that he hasn't completely healed, so his unkind, dysregulated stuff comes up. But also, you know how when people have really strong, rigid opinions, politics, religion, we all know right now there are people who will stop talking to each other for things like that, okay? But the part about your charge, so if you have the emotion of disgust and you don't uncharge it, which means you don't become aware of it as your own personal emotion with that specific thing, and then to allow yourself to be neutral. Why neutral? Because you say, hey, nervous system, no need for you to be in a fight-flight response. So whenever I get passionate, I still work with my physical mastery, as I have reactivity that can come up with words and or with situations where I'm interacting with someone, and I'll notice it. This is what it means to be mindfully aware, accountable, and then regulating, which is why it's really fun. So whenever I have the opportunity to learn, hey, ego, it's cool. We have different ideas of what is nice and what is not nice. So Eric doesn't like my tail, thinks it's yucky, doesn't know how to say it. So remember my friend, the one that I didn't talk to for 5 years, was a perfect example. My friend didn't tell me that he doesn't believe in mysticism, in God, in Akash, in any of what I experience day to day, past life regressions, when I'm seeing the future, when I'm channeling, coffee cup readings, you name it, Reiki. I'm a Reiki practitioner. And when I find this out, it's because he's talking. We are having a conversation with a group of people, and I turn to my friend and I say, wait a minute. So this is where you find out about people in time, what they're hiding from you, which is something that happens because they're hiding from their own self the capacity to welcome that emotion again, but also to welcome it and share it with another human being with a true connection, meaning I know that I'm Maria with my thoughts and emotions on this topic, and then the Eric, in this case, so Little Mermaid, Eric has thoughts and emotions with that topic. So once you have become aware of it, you're accountable of it. I take ownership. I regulate it to allow myself to express it like a grown human being, which means curious, open, accepting, loving. Means I'm flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. I'm not rigidly holding on to it like a 3-year-old who doesn't know how to share the floor of yucky, meaning let's not make it into the charge of yucky, because that discussed, number one, all feelings, all emotions that will be listed, those basics. So fear, anger, disgust, surprise, happiness, and whichever, sadness. So there's 6 that are main, then others talk about others, and then there's a blend that create feelings. But disgust serve to keep us safe. So we all, one, will have begin to build implicit memory from 7 months on in the belly of our mothers or mother, and no, not fathers, and not anything that is, we still have that going on. And I don't know if you will call your mother is what I was trying to get at, but you get the drift. So implicit memory, and then explicit memory, it builds after 3 years and on. So implicit involves sensations, images, affects, meanings, and behaviors. In fact, affective is what you build also with that mother. And this is where you can have a relationship with a smell. They've done studies on this, so it's very in depth, okay? But my point is, you taking ownership of it is why your implicit, bias, explicit, we all have this stuff. It's ours. You don't need to be ashamed of it, which is what happens when you're an empowered person. When, on the other hand, you're not an empowered person and you bring it into the room in the absence of being able to be straightforward with it. So with my friend, I found myself afterwards in the car yelling at him, because this is a friend who I told them, I just want you to be yourself, when we came back to becoming friends. Today, as a 44-year-old woman, what I can tell you is most people don't have their unconscious 0 to 8-year-old in the forefront. So I've learned personally, thanks to my friend and other people, how to be non-reactive and to learn how to handle my emotional stuff, because also, 1, it's not personal. 2, they're oblivious to their self. 3, they don't want to go to therapy. 4, they actually don't think anything of it. 5, they're hiding themselves from themselves. No, they say that that's the truth. So they're thinking thoughts and feelings. Theirs are irrefutable facts, which takes me to another study of 14 months old who have in and out groups. So to a grown woman who's empowered, yeah, you're a liar, pants on fire. I accept it. I'll allow myself to recalibrate, but I now know that I don't have an empowered human being in my room. So I have a Cusco, which basically allows me to learn your masks in time. And Eric, you're a liar. So really, I'm Ariel. I'm going to leave because I'm going to find somebody who knows how to tell me the truth about my tale. And really, the fact is, this isn't going to be something compatible because, yeah, I do have a tail and you don't like me for who I am. You see what I'm saying? So liking is involved when you're not liking. And as a feeling, it doesn't mean that it's good or bad, but it's an indication of pleasure and unpleasure. So like with my friend, I'll use him, the disliking of these topics, the disbelieving, you and I used a bunch of our time together, which was a waste because you're not appreciating that time with me. Truly, you're just there out of the politeness of yourself, which makes me not building a genuine relationship. This is not authentic. It's a fake relationship based on fake everything. That's for the people who embody the wholeness of yourself the way that I'm presenting to you all. Okay, so the part about, though, being able to put into practice the ventral vagal state, the flow state, and then to welcome for the 5D collective differences is what we do. And so like my friend, he's a secure connection, other people, and so it's not that you say, hey Eric, I don't want to see you ever again. It's more of, okay, you're definitely an individual who I now can see clearly has a mask on, and you're unaware of your mask, and if you don't get your child parts online, you're going to keep on being that. So when you meet anyone who is not able to talk about different politics, religion, all of it in a fun way, allow yourself to leave it alone is my conversation with you. If you're a person who wants to put into practice mindfulness and spirituality, self-help in the way that we talk about, to be yourself with integrity, it's not you leave it alone and pent up. No, it's you allow yourself, hey emotions, what's up? Hey thoughts, what's up? We're not irrefutable facts. We're a whole 3-year-old heart. We got a person in a room, they got a different opinion. It's not personal. I can process my sad, anger, disgust. I can process, unlike that other human being, my emotional plane, because I have a depth of relationship with it, because I'm my own inner child adult, and I don't need your thumbs up. My 1-year-old isn't seeking for your approval to have a tail. My 3-year-old also, I don't need to be a good boy, good girl, good day. My self-worth isn't reliant on you. Actually, my healthy self-worth is reliant on building healthy self-worth relationships who are people who are completely accountable of their thoughts and emotions and using their prefrontal cortex. Those are intelligent and intelligence. The rest, copycats. I just need to follow your leader and I'll know who you're about, what you're about, and so you're unimpressive also, FYI. It's a person who is true self material and who trusts the heart's magic and the mind's magical stories to manifest into the world love and abundance. And that's where the 5D Mystic Self-Help community comes in here. When we have our membership content, you'll get mindfulness daily practices, and our monthly we'll find out. And we'll also have additional types of channeled guidances and universal love transmission sessions. In the meantime, you can catch some universal love transmission sessions on the playlist on our YouTube channel. And that's because I'm a Reiki practitioner. So I integrated the universal love energy. Please do remember, we have theologians from the Christian community who have decided to make Reiki into a bad energy, meaning they wrote some shit down. We also have people who like to talk about those who are mystics as awful, evil human beings. So, again, any person of true faith, Holy Spirit, Jesus, and also said Guru, spirituality, we come together. We know sciences and spirituality match up. Heaven in the body. Every person can be that which was their supposed to be original 1-year-old kind, if they want the human goodness and kindness that their heart can bring forth. If, on the other hand, they want 7 to 14 charming, well, they got them out there. 3D, 4D states of consciousness, yes, we see them very clearly. And they're not securely attached, so they don't represent intelligence. They represent something that is, again, contributing as always. We're collective, so please remember we all contribute to something. In the meantime, for my lovely 5D community, as we were saying, it's time to trust in the magic of that which your heart holds sacred and clear up any misunderstandings of that which you see coming forth into tomorrow in life and your relationships. And this is what came forth for you all. This symbol represents the infinite intelligence of, you can call it Great Spirit, God, dark matter, dark energy, your integrated brain with your restorative embodiment, self-aware, mindfully. Okay, so being pure consciousness is with integration of the brain and the restorative embodiment of you. So here they have the word Great Spirit, but you can replace that. So the infinite intelligence comes with integration of the brain. Otherwise, you don't have pure access because you're distorting it. Your frontal lobes will be flopped down, your amygdala and dark sides of neuroplasticity. You're going to hear shit show, self-prophecy, people out there, they're all using, again, ancient textbooks in a low frequency. They continue to come out with it. So just allow yourself to remember. There's human love group, and then there's human suffering love group, and, well, it is what it is. Symbol represents the infinite intelligence of Great Spirit that makes up the fundamental fabric of the universe. We experience the evidence of this magic through synchronicity or meaningful coincidence. When magic appears, you're invited to see the world through the eyes of wonder and awe, taking on the innocence of a child who knows that all things are possible. Infinite potential exists in the great mind. They capitalize it again. Integration of the brain, a whole self, an inner child adult who knows how to self-soothe, healthfully self-regulate, and be accountable. No adaptive patterns, no maladaptive patterns. So you have the capacity to self-soothe, healthy, no projection, okay? So that's very important. Trauma is relational. Healing it is relational as well, with good therapists and then with healthy others. You don't heal trauma with unhealthy others because they are Diego's family. You heal trauma with those who will point out to you something in a way, but it's because you are there to become your inner child adult. So you want to be a healthy self-worth person. So you're self-regulating your nervous system completely instead of doing projection, which is, if I see Bill tomorrow, I'm going to beat him up. This is one of the examples of Patrick Tiahan, childhood trauma survivor, healed and healing, good therapist. Another one is you're walking in the supermarket, the lady looks at you weird, and you're like, she's a bitch, she looked at me weird. So people, that's why they rather go with fancy women and men in suits and those gender stereotypes. That's the visceral. They're all in a low frequency. Even the men and women in cloaks, they in fact have complete neediness, codependency, you name it, a meshing. So they're all in a 0 1 year old who's attached, panicky, with 3 to 7, shame submissive, and they follow the Peter Pans who basically, good boy, good girl, good day, whatever it is, they're good with that because they are comfortable in a controlled environment. When you have been shamed and you have been scared to death, basically, and you have been treated like that, a piece of shit, basically, you are allowing yourself to continue being treated like that. You want, because the adaptive child is not a grown-up, it's a teenage version who's fighting their very own true self because they didn't get the securely attached part. So they haven't processed the anger, the rage, any of that, which was, I was made to feel helpless, hopeless, unseen, unheard on everything. That 3-year-old is very scary, is a very, not scary, it's very deep. So you have to want to actually get your emotional body online, which is why it's textbook from the good therapist that a lot of people, they don't. And that's the reason where 714 Charming, they fulfill a role. It's for the ones who are too scared to go and get healed. And I'm not kidding with you all, because I've been told by Peter Levine, it's like a bird with a broken wing, and that wing is broken and they're still going to go to the cat in the tunnel, versus me, an unconditionally loving person, because their first 3 years of life didn't get this. And so I'm scary, and I'm also not true. I'm also yucky, and I'm also not true, and I'm also lying. And so, like Dr. Daniel Fox says, imagine someone trusting a kind person less. Or like Patrick Tian says, throwing up, wanting to throw up when you see happiness, kind, a child in a child-centric environment. So it's, again, people choose what they want to listen to and what they want to follow, and how much to disregard of those who are trying to support people to get heaven in the body by getting out of trauma charges and unresolved trauma and all of that, which is unhealthy self-worth. In the meantime, for our 5D, infinite potential exists in the integrated brain, is how I'm going to put it, and the whole self and the mind, and a person who is building healthy self-worth. And you are being invited to call it in and recognize the dance in synchronistic events, signs, symbols, and omens given to you through the oracle of the ordinary world. This is a sign that Spirit is reminding you that you co-create your world in a sacred partnership. Your part is to dream, to intend, and to watch for the signs that show you what next action to take. Right now, it appears that you are on the right track to make your dreams come true. Great Spirit is listening and acting on your behalf. Pay attention. Magic gives birth to miracles. So just pay attention to that which is your own belovedness. And you're beloved, others are beloved. That's all of those people out there who we get to allow to be in our circle. They allow us. And as you are the sorcerer of your own self, you're on a mindfulness journey, because that subconscious, unconscious is connected to your conscious. So you have made sense of your core self, narrative, relational, solo self, and you don't allow your 14-month-old or your emotions of likes and dislikes to rule you. You allow yourself to say, okay, I'm processing it, and then you interact with people with a neutrality and duality, energetic. That's equanimity. Okay, so that's what you do. If people take offense, so this is the being yourself journey here at HP, at least, with mindfulness and spirituality. When people are like, oh, how dare you, that's also an opportunity for you to say, I'm so sorry, and then to not really be around eggshell people, because the capacity for a person to be curious, open, accepting, and loving is all of those who are aware of the potential to be their whole self. So you will know when you have a healthy other and when you have a non-healthy other, because of the way that they will approach any type of conversation. The owl, she is the master of the night. She can see situations with perfect clarity, more so when it is dark, and is able to discern truth when others are sightless. She helps you find your light and your lightness in the darkest moments of your life, and to embrace the night as your ally. Owl can bring you messages from the invisible world. She opens your ears so that you may hear the voices of the ancestors, and you may acquire their wisdom and make it your own. So the reason your ears can hear is because you have secure attachment. And so your body is in its ventral vagal state, and therefore you're not a distorted self. You're a whole self. Distorted selves, they have a distorted lens and they don't hear well because they're in a, red and yellow, biological rudeness, safety behaviors. You'll notice by what comes out of their mouth, how it comes out, by the tone, and if they have bliss, delight, and the capacity to dismantle while creating novelty versus dismantling with a suffering destroyer charge. Anytime shame comes into the room, revenge, anger, any of that, it's a destroyer charge. We got a left mode, we got a masculine, which means distorted feminine. Anytime you got a feminine, you're going to have a true masculine if they're a masculine at that point. And there is a difference. I'm a feminine, so I use my words differently, but what I can tell you is that masculines, they will distort shit until they have an embodied feminine, and that's when I'll know I have a true masculine. Otherwise, so you get the drift though. And if you're confused, when you have healthy self-worth and you know that you have emotions, not laundry, and that you can process those emotions with healthy conversations, because your 14-month-old is not an irrefutable fact. Your emotions, yucks or no yucks, your thoughts of anything are not irrefutable facts. It's called you have a subjective opinion. And to have the humble energetic imprint. So to know that you're not more or less. You're not better or less better. Nobody is. That's healthy self-worth is. We're equals. All of us. And that we equally play a role to support each other. And that we're grateful. Kind intention. The third pillar of mindfulness. So I'm focusing attention. I'm aware of my emotions and thoughts. I have kind intention. I don't play the I'm a spiteful 3-year-old who wants to make sure I get a seat at the table. I'm not a lack mindset. I'm not afraid of losing my spot. I don't have insecurity here, you see. I don't have something that is inside that is unhealed, that makes me afraid and angry and upset and wanting to retaliate in some way against another. So the ones who, again, use survival mode, they don't understand that that was for when you were with nature, out with our bare hands. Yeah, we don't need that in the circumstances that are now. And I've heard of stories where people have been putting that, 2 different stories, 2 different families, same time frame. Okay, I'm going to keep it vague for privacy stuff. But in one, we have parents who allow their kids to fight for food in ways that are completely brutal. In another, we have parents who say, okay, we're all eating, we're sharing, that's it. Nobody gets more, nobody gets less. Those were 2 groups of people that came from obviously different backgrounds. The point is, though, the parents gave 2 different types of role models. In one, they gave them what is civil humanity. In the other, we have savagery, which really is unnecessary, because while our ancestors lived with their bare hands, in this case, this is not what's the case. However, as Robert Sapolsky presents, determined is very important. And when we know of people who are poor to the extent of where they are starving, we can understand a lot of things. So you present an equation, they're always going to be different. If you're a smart person, you understand that, which is why you don't cast a stone, which is why your yuckiness or your not yuckiness doesn't rule the room. If you're an intelligent, truly empowered human being who knows 5D, by the way, Christ consciousness, there's a reason Jesus is what I refer to and why I will keep that 5D. It's because integration of brain comes from people who are open-hearted, open-minded, and I have healthy self-worth. They're not pretending. So we know how to forgive, for they do not know. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Don't cast a stone. And we know the energy of humble, because that's where God, I told him, they're not humble. They're monsters. They're treating all these people like shit. They want to perpetuate suffering. They keep on using words in Lucifer all over the place. And yet, I see sciences proves that all my brothers and sisters could be home in their bodies with their inner child, adult. I'm wondering, why would anyone go against inner well-being? Wait a minute, what was it, Peter Levine again? So, when you add up the dots, any smart human being is going to know exactly who wants to perpetuate shame. And, well, pretty sure that we all understand what sacredness, there's no sacrifice in the way of our ancestors. The sacrifice means to make sacred. And making sacred, when you explore it from the 0-1-year-old, becoming an independent 1-year-old, you know how in yoga they talk about disengaging from attachment? So, enlightenment, so age your peer, I explain. And that's because myself doesn't learn about myself from others. Spirituality, soul age group, relationships, so they all learn different things. when you understand that it's your mammalian heritage, like mine, to seek one secure attachment figure. But remember, determined, I have a twin. I was sharing my primary caregiver in the belly. Once I was out, I know no aloneness. I know none of this. I'm afraid. While any other mammal, any other child will be one in the womb, unless they're twins too. And that's why in our mammalian heritage, there's this law. It's not even a longing alone. It's I'm alone in a world. My body knows there's animals out there. So it's still connected to our ancestors in the way of sciences if we want to bring in that which all people can welcome. And again, I'm pseudoscience lady because I don't get it all organized correctly, but I know where I could find this information because I don't create it out of my butthole. So this is interpretation, obviously. You all know some channeled guidance, some interpretation. So I'm bringing those dots in a way that Maria's brain can see and think. You don't need to take it. You're just here for hearing the stories and hearing the channeled messages, and you take what resonates and you leave what doesn't. But really, I mean, the whole resonating part, it's time to trust in the magic of that which your heart holds sacred and clear up any misunderstandings of that which you see coming forth into tomorrow in life and your relationships. If you resonate with that, that was for you. Everything else, I'm reading to it, I'm explaining it, I'm sharing it, okay? So some is channeled, some is not. Get the drift, okay? But that was shared for any one of you who it resonates with. Okay, so the sacrifice. To sacrifice means to make sacred. And when I look at all that it writes out, and then it ends with your heart is the only worthy offering you can bring. Life has been generous with you in so many ways. What I know is your heart needs to be whole. So you have to be able to have healed that inner child of you. And so you will have to have a conscious mind of how you communicate your thoughts, your emotions, all of this. But clear with love, with respect, with humble, with acknowledging a lot of different things, and then knowing that there's no need to prove yourself, but knowing that that 1-year-old, again, it's 0-1 attached panicky. It's our mammalian heritage from what has been explained to me, which makes a lot of sense, to need one person to live because we're outnumbered. No, because we're weak compared to the animals. So number one. Number two, the fact of disengaging from attachment from that spirituality perspective and marrying darkness, the unknown, marrying being a seeker. Sadhguru is the one who shares all of this stuff the best, but so does Dr. Daniel Siegel in a different way. So let me find, here it is. I do not know is the doorway, the only doorway to seeking and knowing, Sadhguru. Dr. Daniel Siegel shares it with when he tells us that 97% of what is out there is unavailable for sciences to find, which is why we have the scientists who are saying we're going to use AI to disprove reality, which is really hilarious if you ask me. But then again, that's why we have a spirituality lady out there saying we need to prove spirituality, and I'm thinking, sure you do. So anybody who's trying to prove shit, there's an adaptive child for you, because if you're trying to prove it, your ego's all over this. Your left mode. You're not balancing anything yet. You're still a Peter Pan with a copycat, a Lost Boys, you name it. So if you are a true sciences person, like Dr. Daniel Siegel says, you know that 97% of what is out there and going on is unavailable to observe. We can only make our best estimates. And then there's a bunch of different subject matters that look into things, and then they come together. But you don't discredit neuroscientists to explain to you how the brain works. You don't discredit mental health professionals who explain to you how the biology and the brain, you don't discredit this. However, we have two groups of sciences. We have groups that chase Dr. Daniel Siegel down the hallway. Okay, we have two groups of spirituality. We have the ancient ones who want to keep everything separate. They don't like Reiki. They don't like yoga. They don't like anything. And then that's where it's at. So at the end of the day, nothing new, if you ask me, because we've seen it during the 1960s, during whatever era the Renaissance was. We've seen it. It's a time of change. So the Jaguars are who come to HP, because the Jaguars are the ones who want to be their own safe haven, secure base, and then to be out there in a world where they need people who can have certainty and courage in I love to love and love to live and love to laugh and love to dance. I love to love. And so we get to be the people who welcome differences. And when somebody says, ew, you're polyamory, that's disgusting. Wow, you're amazing. So, hey, Eric, you know what? I'm going to go out because I think you don't want to. You get it? That's what we're here to do. So, we tried. Oh, we didn't fail. No, we don't fail. Show yourself. No, be yourself. So, please. Oh, John Donohue, he explains to lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel what a mystic is. He says, a mystic is someone who believes in the reality of the invisible. I have news for you. We don't only believe. We know, as Sadhguru points out, the miracle of life. I know God. I know Jesus. I mean, you can name it. I know a bunch of things, but it's not provable. What I do know is that trusting your heart's magic and mind's stories to create love and abundance into the world as a 5D mystic who does support self-empowering journey is going to be helpful to you, to be your own safe haven, secure base, and then to bring that same ease to others, and then to allow us to be friends with all people. Jesus walked with all people. He talked to all people. What makes me feel that people forget who he was and is all the people who don't remember that he walked with all people, not disgusted. No, no. And when he got betrayed, he didn't make the betrayal thing into a deal, did he? So when someone, again, wants to talk to me about faith, I know who's the true faith and who's not. And it's not hard to differentiate. Jesus was not welcomed in a way of trusting. No, he was welcomed with mistrust, disbelief, fear, and non-acceptance. And he definitely gave a message. Now, this name, as well as God's name, they are being used in different ways. And that's why I try not to use it too much, because we don't want to make it into a belief thing. Again, science is enough for me to bring to you, to bring mindfulness, meditation, all that is self-empowerment. As a mystic, I am, though, someone who comes with God and Jesus, and I honor them in my own way. And the only thing I can tell you about when you get clairs for a person who is of true faith is I knew it was my human makeup, and that I wasn't anointed, and that it had nothing to do with the church or going to the church to relive what era was yesterday. When I see, though, people making fun of the institution because they just like did some evaluating, I forget, of some definition. They went to redefine that which gets defined as a whole podcast. They were talking about it. So I understand if they're still standing the way they want to stand and they're not wanting to be all inclusive, they're updating their books because they have to. They have no other way, because there's a bunch of mystics out there, because we are on a planet that is in the 5D frequency. So again, this sounds woo-woo to those of you who are not mystics. It's fine. The ones who are, you are either in or you're out. And I'm not kidding right now. I did not think that 3D, 4D would stay limited. But today I do see that they will. And that the 7 to 14 charming, well, they pull the wool over the eyes of those who don't want to welcome love. And they don't have to. I love to love. And my baby, he loves to dance. She loves to dance and laugh and read. So we're going to hang out all together. And those who don't, well, we know what they do, right? Some people don't take their kids to hospitals. They go and separate themselves. Others go and live in the middle of nowhere. And well, so we already know what happens. The laws are what stay. We go and vote, we go and do things, and we continue to do what our ancestors did. We all know what our ancestors did, and we do it better. We do it in our restorative embodiment self, because we know how important it is to be non-reactive for your body. Oh, it thrives in eustress. It doesn't thrive in distress. And so any person who is of intelligence will hear the explanation of sciences. Now, if you're there with the agenda of a teenager who's on a hiatus, you're not going to hear shit. And you're going to be like, so we need to be in our modulated embodied because we got boxing gloves. No, the face was the face of one of my instructors who's an expert, as we got to review what I thought, wow, am I back in high school with teenagers who don't want to learn shit? What the fuck am I doing? What is this? I paid money for this. Why are you all not hearing the explanation? When you are a person who hears as a grown-up, and you see grown-ups who don't know how to hear, but they hear like teenagers, that's the fight response. Those are egos in a room, which is why the fancy lady and man in suit, they're just teenagers who are being followed by other teenagers, and then you see them copying each other, and they all look pretty in their dresses, and we're like, yeah, I'm happy I'm not there. I'm good over here. Hey, Eric, I gotta tell you, you might want to leave, like, go away so you don't have to be near my tail. I'm cool with the tail, though. I'm gonna go hang out with those other people. So we are a diverse group again, having a good time, and we show people this is how we do it. We walk with people, we talk with people, we don't take offense. Am I not decent enough to be saluted? Not really, it's not about decency, but now that you mention it, I don't know. I'm gonna have to salute you now because now you kind of put me on a spot. But I will make sure to reiterate my information next time. So this is a story. All my regular viewers, listeners know it. I'm going to conclude with it. This human being, for 3 years, I didn't engage with them at all because I'm not interested in becoming their friend. An evening, they're drunk, they're all upset, they're passive aggressive, they have unhealthy boundaries, so they're in the shame. Terry Real has this nice little unhealthy boundary thing. So we got shame over here and shame over here. This is anxious, this is avoidant. So shame and anxious is basically they desperately manipulate to try and get affection. Avoidant, they are locked up in a room crying themselves to death and they're just going to be all alone and nobody's ever going to want them. So the avoidants, they disappear. The anxious, they're like, okay. So it's not funny, but these people don't end up in therapy. So, I mean, this person, am I not decent enough? That's his way of saying, oh my God, you have been ignoring me for 3 years and I'm miserable. Anyways, long story short, then we have the ones who become squirrels from Cusco Land, grandiosity over here, anxious, and they just do what the squirrel from Cusco Land did, flip a switch because you are supposed to be. I gave you everything, how dare you? So now I'm going to viciously justify my means of whatever I'm doing to you and actually think that I'm right to be this angry squirrel and to basically hurt you emotionally, physically, man. It doesn't matter. I'm going to justify my squirrel from Cusco Land attitude. Not unhealthy boundaries. No, really, you want therapy. I mean, I guess you want the lady who tells you it's okay to do that because she justifies your capacity to be reactive like this. So there's the man in the fancy suit with our grandiosity over here who think I can do way better as an avoidant. So yeah, I'm going to feel disgust and contempt towards you and I'm going to know it's you. It ain't me. I'm ashamed of you. How disgusting are you? Ha! Wow, you're an avoidant and grandiosity. I see that you all don't know healthy self-worth. This is a fascinating group you got going on. Hey, Tom and Jerry, Pinocchio, that island. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going off. I have some better shit to do. That's how it feels when you're empowered and you know all these human beings. Mean girls, hangover, anything fascinating going on when you meet low self-esteem and direct communicators. Nope, not really, except for Pinocchio. Are you still on that island? I thought you wanted to become a real boy and a real girl and a real day. I guess you don't want Patrick Tiahan. It's okay. I get it. Peter Levine explained it to me. So, have a lovely evening, my lovely viewers and listeners, and allow yourself to like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and if you know people who are empowered for real, send them over. We're going to have a good time. Oh, yes, a really good time, and that's because I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance, and they love to dance, and we love to laugh, and we love to learn, so I'm looking forward to the smart human beings who are just as empowered as me. Let's talk about our stories. Because, see, I'm waiting for the ones who know how to handle people just the way I described it, which is like, oh my God, I just met one. Oh my God. Guess what happens when an empowered person does what she does? Why do you put barriers up? No, they're not called barriers. And smart people will let you know I'm picky. I say I'm not, but then again, I am selective. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. My gut is a good one. It knows you don't know healthy boundaries. So I don't really want to be around you because you don't know how to use your boundaries and your brain. And really, I'm into smart conversations and loving happy people, not the ones who get into pretending that they're enjoying, so that's a whole other story. So anyways, long story short, thank you again, and like, share, and subscribe. Have a good one.